Many people are aware of the overwhelming emotions and challenges that you face when you have a loved one who is diagnosed with a terminal illness. And one great organization that is there to offer support is Hospice. And with me today is Frances Robertson, who is the Executive Director of the Community Hospice Foundation. Frances, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Jen.
Now, Frances, I know that a lot of people are aware of what hospice is, but if you would, in your own words, tell us what the goal of hospice is and the mission behind them.
Well, I think so many people just assume that hospice is about dying, and hospice is truly about living. And it's a philosophy of care that focuses on a patient and family who is ready to just go ahead and discontinue certain treatments and have treatments that will manage their illness. And hospice also steps in and treats the family as a whole, spiritually and emotionally, while taking care of that family member who's terminally ill.
And so it is very much so about the patient, but as you said, it's also about the family, the entire family. They provide support in many ways, correct?
Many ways. There's counseling throughout the illness. There's counseling after the patient has passed away.
Up to 13 months, actually, correct?
Yes.
And so there's support for the family members who are, in the caring position, correct? And then also throughout the grieving process, just a lot of support you guys offer, correct?
A lot of support. And so many times, I mean, almost all the time, there are relationships formed between the employees of hospice and the families. And so those relationships go on for a lifetime. They don't just end with the death of a loved one.
And so what qualifies somebody, what stage, should I say, that they would be in to be able to receive the support that hospice offers?
Someone with a life-limiting illness that is progressively getting worse.
And we were talking earlier, and you said that a lot of times you have people come in and they will often say that they wish they had come earlier, correct?
Correct.
So Frances, tell us how Community Hospice Foundation began.
Well, in 2001, when we had a patient pass away in one of our offices, we were given a memorial, which we were given a check to honor that patient. And we knew that that check needed to go back into the community to help families, other families who are experiencing family members with life-limiting illnesses. And so that is how Community Hospice Foundation was started, as a nonprofit wing of community home care and hospice.
And so what sort of services does Community Hospice Foundation provide?
We give back to the community through giving to research, giving to scholarships, and also probably the biggest thing we do is we step in and help families with patients with life-limiting illnesses that really can't help themselves anymore. A lot of times your main caregiver has to step away from work. They might lose hours, they might lose the job altogether. And therefore then you have the issue that they get behind in bills. There's rent, their mortgages, their electric bills, telephone bills, gas to get to and from if the patient is in an inpatient facility or hospital. And we also help with cremations and burials.
So there is a lot of expense, and there is really a lot of stress that is also on the caregiver when they have to step into this role. And so you provide relief for them as well.
Yes.
And you were telling me earlier about a particular school that also got together to raise money. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the high school in Harnett County, last year they raised $1,000, and they gave that to Community Hospice Foundation in honor of the EC PAL inpatient facility, because they'd had members, students had family members pass away, and actually one of the teachers had a family member in the facility. Well, this year the student government raised $2,500.
Wow.
And they gave it all to the foundation, and we're working right now to give it back to Harnett County, to that community, because that was their wishes. And when we do that and somebody wishes for us to give back to a specific community, we call that a restricted gift, and we are more than happy to do that when we get a memorial.
And that's probably very important to the families as well. And so you really get a lot of support. People who just really are very grateful for the services that you provide, and this is where they choose for their funds to go, correct?
Correct.
And Frances, we were talking earlier and you mentioned that the significance in the dove in your logo. Tell us about that.
Well, if you visit the website and you see that Community Home Care and Hospice has a dove that is flying away, sort of like when losing a loved one and they're going on. Well, what we've done with Community Hospice Foundation is the dove, if you can notice, is flying in. We're flying into help.
That is really a nice image. That's very nice. Frances, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate you asking us.
You are more than welcome. If you would like more information about anything you've heard today, I strongly encourage you to visit our website. There is a wealth of information for families and for healthcare providers. And there's also a great documentary video and testimonials that may help a family in need. Thank you so much for joining us today on Breakaway, and we'll see you soon.